Welcome to episode 4 of the Lit Up Instagram Show. Lit Up Instagram Show is my live show bringing you fun and soulful interviews with spiritual teachers with the aim of tuning you in and lighting you up. And I'm so excited to be here with episode 4, Unicorn Rising, with my lovely friend Calista. Alrighty, before I bring on Calista, she's here with us right now. Let me do some introduction first, some housekeeping. So, the number one rule of the game is engagement. I don't want this to feel like an interview, like you're watching from afar. I want this to be a gathering of unicorn souls coming together to share experiences, to share views. So I want you to tap it out with hearts, to keep us entertained and engage with your comments, asking questions, contributing with your own views and your own experiences about what Calista and I will be talking about. And I want you to start right now by tapping it out with the hearts. There you go. Also, by doing that, by taking micro actions like this, you're training yourself to becoming an action taker. You're training yourself to taking action. And when the universe sees that you're an action taker, it's gonna send towards your direction more bigger opportunities that will help you fulfill your life purpose, and you'll be ready and trained to keep taking that action. So as you're coming in, say hello, say where you're watching from, and say what brought you here today. Hello Sherry, hello Alison, hello Zana. Alrighty, let me bring on Calista right now, and then I'll do some introduction about her as well. Alrighty. Hey,
hello
Calista. The mother of unicorns is here, you guys. How are you? I'm so excited you're here with me, Calista. Let me do some introduction for you first, and then we'll kick off with the interview. So, for those of you who are not familiar with this miracle of life called Calista, she is a Scottish-born author, a speaker, and pioneer of ascension. She's a creator of 3 healing modalities: unicorn healing, angel healing, and Atlantean crystal healing. And she's Hay House's latest author. Her book, Unicorn Rising, came out just yesterday, and I'm so excited to be diving into it. It is such a soulful, fun book. Yay! Unicorn Rising copies. I dove into it the moment I got it, and I gotta say, Calista, I love it, and I'm so excited to be having you here to teach to us about unicorns. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's a total pleasure to be here and to be doing this magical co-creation with you and everyone watching.
Exactly. And for those of you who don't know my history with Calista, Calista and I actually met at the end of 2017, wasn't it? And then we both teach about unicorns, so we clicked immediately and we worked together to create a course called Elemental Detox, which was all about connecting with the elementals, including the unicorns as well. But what I want to focus on right now, Calista, is because we both teach about unicorns from a different perspective, and a lot of people in my audience know about my perspective of unicorns. But I'm so interested in finding out about your perspective, how you work with unicorns, so that we can create this co-creative space of different unicorn perspectives and bring it all together. So my first question to you is, how did you meet the unicorns in the first place? And how did the unicorns came into your spiritual path?
Oh, well, it was back when I had just left science. I was a cancer research scientist for many years. And like so many of us, I just reached that crossroads where I became so disillusioned with that muggle path. And I was being called into holistic medicine, and so I started with Reiki. Then I went into a diploma in herbal medicine, and then I started to create my own skincare, infusing it with Reiki, energy from the Fae, energy from mermaids, and I had a product to reflect each of them. So I had a mermaid soap, I had like fairy products, fairy soaps, and I wanted to create a unicorn soap. And so I thought, well, there's no one around me that talks about unicorns, no teachers. So I just thought, okay, let's go into meditation, ask them to come forward and just see what happens. And I was so grateful that who came forward were the 2 guides that I still work with today. A beautiful male Celtic unicorn called Hethgar, and a
Yes.
very feminine yet mischievous royal
The
female
princess.
who's a total priestess. And I call her princess because she just has that energy. And they attuned me to their energy, and they did that through connecting their horns. So I saw them through my clear cognizance. So they connected their horns above me, and it created this amazing, like, luminous, crystalline rainbow light that just went through me, right down into my cells. You know, I could really feel it, and around me. And I didn't know what they were doing at the time, but I now understand that what they were doing was attuning me to their vibration, because what they bring forward is the diamond ray, this beautiful consciousness that we can work with, just like angels come on and come into our awareness in ways, like Michael comes in the blue ray and Raphael comes in the green emerald. Well, they come in this diamond rainbow light, and I think that's why so many people, when they think about a rainbow, they think about a unicorn, or a unicorn rainbow. You know, there's this interplay. So we started to work together, firstly to create their soap, which is beautiful, and they gave me the combination of oils to capture through aromatherapy oils what their vibration, and it was the most beautiful mix of, like, sandalwood and patchouli and orange. And
wow, it sounds magical.
It was gorgeous.
Are these soaps still available out of interest?
No.
I
stopped doing that. What happened? I'll share.
Maybe they need a comeback. Who knows?
I know. Some people are still waiting for my products to come back. But Hethgar said to me, so my male guide said to me, Calista, together we are going to create a healing system. And I went, what? He said, yeah, together we're going to do this. And we did. And so many little synchronicities, and, you know, months later, I found myself applying for a shop through this competition to win a shop, and you win your rent free for the year.
Wow.
And I always thought, okay, I'll bring my products and I'll sell my products and I'll do therapies and I'll teach people about spirituality. And what happened was I ended up creating this system now called Unicorn Healing, and I taught it in the center. I run the center, had it for a couple of years. The modalities were created there, and it was all thanks to the unicorns. They kept showing me the way. They kept showing me the path to take, the people I had to meet, it's just amazing. And that's what happens when you work with unicorns. It's like your intuition just accelerates. Well, I mean, you're wearing your horn.
Your unicorn horn.
Yeah.
It's coming through.
Like, it just opens up your perspective, your trust, first of all, your trust in the universe, the trust that you're supported no matter what. The vision, it increases your vision so you can, see just beyond what the mind can understand. And you start seeing, okay, there is a bigger picture here. And then, of course, the unicorn horn gives you a greater sense of intuition, of knowing. So you trust the path, you trust the steps.
So how was your transition, Calista? I'm very interested because many people here are spiritual teachers as well, or dream of being spiritual teachers, but many are stuck in this place of I have to have a normal job so I can keep supporting myself. How do I make the transition to being a spiritual teacher and doing spiritual work full time? How was it for you moving from a mainstream kind of job working in science and being in the pharmaceutical industry, right? And then moving into working with unicorns?
It was an interesting one. Yeah, it took me a good 6 months of really letting go, because I was engaged to be married to another scientist who was very kind of narrow-minded. All my friends, the only friends I had at that point I worked with, and they all thought, you are crazy to leave your job to pursue holistic healing. I mean, they couldn't understand people waving their hands over somebody and then charging for money. They thought that I was a charlatan if I did that. Let alone working with unicorns and angels and fairies. So I knew that if I left science, my friends would exit my life. My relationship would probably dissolve, and I wouldn't have a steady paycheck every month. And so I kind of resisted that for 6 months. And what happened was I literally lost the sight in my right eye. Because, yeah, and looking back, I know that is because I was ignoring my path. I literally was
so physically you just stopped like seeing.
Yeah.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, so all these things started to happen, and we know now that it's just resistance.
If ever you needed a clear sign, you got it.
Yeah, I did. I totally did. And then, I just thought, well, that's bringing me much more joy. I'm not getting any more joy from this. I just got to take that leap. I got to take that leap of faith. And I did. And yes, the friends left. The relationship with my fiance broke down. I had no friends. I was very much alone. But spiritually, I was surrounded by all these beautiful beings, and just reminded that when you take that leap of faith, maybe the money's not going to be there straight away, but the joy is, the health is, for sure.
Yeah.
And when you pursue your passion, the universe, your guides, whatever you like to call it, provides for you, because you're being authentic and you're sharing what you're supposed to share in the world. Everything flows as a result.
So beautiful. It's what I always say as well, that when you show up for you, the universe shows up for you. So you showed up for you, and therefore, now you have a book about unicorns.
Yeah.
So
my
question
10 years
is,
to write it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So really, basically, someone who knows nothing about unicorns, how would you define a unicorn? What is a unicorn?
I would say that unicorns are a doorway into greater possibilities.
Wow.
They show us that anything is possible, that we don't have to be anything that we're not in this world for anyone. We just have to be ourselves. We just have to be ourselves. And that our own kind of magic is the best kind, and that's what the universe wants us to share. That's what the world wants us to share. And when we're living from that authentic space, everything just becomes joyful and fun, just like what the unicorns represent. Depending on your perspective, there might be people watching this who are just on their path. So you may think, okay, unicorns are a bit out there. But when you start inviting them and calling them into your life, you start to realize that they are real. Whether you see them as a higher, more, I guess, connected part of you, part of your soul, or whether you see them as real beings like angels, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you are receptive of their many gifts. You're receptive, you're open.
And I like what you said, like whether you see them as this or like that, because many people just feel they can't communicate with their unicorn guide or with their angels or with any spirit guide because they don't see them with their physical eyes or with their clairvoyance. Do you want to talk a little bit about how the unicorns, because I know you teach that in the book as well, how the unicorns can help us develop our other clairs, our clairsentience or our claircognizance, for example, because you mentioned earlier as well that you met Heathgard claircognizantly. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
So anytime we mention the word clear, when we prefix words, that just means clear.
Yes.
So clear, cognizant just means knowing. So that's clear knowing. And that's when you have sort of a knowing, whether it's imprinted or whether it's a passage, whether it's words, whether it's a sensation, but you kind of perceive it here. I do anyway. It kind of comes in through my crown and I perceive it here. But the unicorns can help us develop our clear audience, so clear hearing, or clear sentience, clear sensing,
Healing,
clairvoyance, of course, clear seeing. And they do that through giving us etheric horns. Now, this is where we get a little bit out there.
That was my next question about etheric horns. Yes, give it to us.
They can give us etheric. So, when we think of a unicorn, when we just conjure up that image, I'm sure what you're seeing is a horse-like being with a single pointed spiral that comes out of the third eye. Just like just like George has got on. I love it. And this horn is etheric. It's not physical, it's etheric. And it bridges all the way to creation. So even though it might stop here, it really bridges all the way to creation. It's light-based. And the unicorns can gift us a template of that, if you like. They can put this in our energetic field and connect the horn that sort of starts to emanate from our third eye and connect it to source.
The source.
To source. And in the book, they didn't want to just place it here to open up our awareness and our vision. They also wanted to place it in our heart center.
As well.
Yeah.
How is that different? How is it different? Is it awakening a different chakra or a different side of us?
Yeah, it's awakening a different aspect of our soul. So here it's awakening our vantage so that we can really step into the intuition that we're really all born with. It really helps us to accelerate our vision, accelerate our awareness. When it's placed within our heart center, it's really opening us to a greater sense of self-love, compassion, unconditional love for others. But it's also opening up the doors of our heart. I always think that we have a door at the front of our heart and a door at the back of our heart.
Yes.
And sometimes, depending on where we are in that moment in our life situation, we could have our door open at the front and we're always giving, but we're closed at the back, so we're not receiving from life. And so having the etheric horn placed in our heart, really, as much as it extends out to give to the world, it also extends inwards. So it really helps you to be in balance so that everything you're putting out in the world, you're also receiving, because that's very important, especially as healers and teachers. We need to be fueled up. If we're always giving and sharing our time, we have to have that energy back. And then they also give us etheric
in our hands.
In our hands.
That's
which
so
are
exciting. Okay. And Calista, can people learn how to do that in the book?
Yes, you can receive these etheric horns through an attunement, which they have put in the book. But I also recorded it as a separate meditation series with Hay House that you can download. And I recommend you do that because it's lovely to have meditations and attunements written, but
whole different experience when you have the music and your voice.
Yeah. And hands up, who actually does them? I mean, we sit and we read them and go, that's really lovely.
Yeah. It is different. It is certainly different.
It's different. And when that meditation series was recorded, they really came through. You know, their vibration is within the music, it's within the words. And so it really will hold you into a really cozy space as if we're, you know, in person with each other. So these horns are gifted through that energetic space. And then in the book, you can learn how to do hands-on healing, how to use the horns to increase your clairvoyance, for example. That's normally the one that people want to expand, isn't it? Like to see more.
Yeah, to see more clearly, both with their physical eyes as well as their mind's eye. And my other question, Calista, is: does everybody have a unicorn guide or a Pegasus guide? Because you talk about Pegasus as well, Pegasians as well. And I want you to give us a short introduction about them. It's a little bit more advanced, but why not?
Yeah, okay, let's do it. Yeah, as the chapters, you know, continue, the vibration, the teachings, the love really ascends as well. So in the last chapter, you are tuned to I love the way that you say it, the Pegasians, the Pegasus. You're tuned to these beautiful beings that yes, are very closely related to the unicorns, but the difference is for a Pegasian, sometimes they don't have a horn,
Hmm.
but all of them have wings. So
Okay.
they're very much linked to the angelic kingdom. And if a unicorn represents our soul, then a Pegasian represents our soul to expand. It
Ooh.
represents potential. So yeah, you can feel it with the wings just starting to
Yeah.
lift. So that's why the Pegasians are right at the end of the chapter, because it's giving you the keys to just go, right, here you are, your time to fly, your time to take that leap, to live your dreams, to live your truth. Yeah, and the
So it's
Pegasians,
basically the next step to the
next
transition
step.
to the ascension process. Once we work with the unicorns, we learn how to awaken our intuition and get on our path. Then we have the Pegasians to guide us into expanding that even more. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Think
And
of Pegasians
yeah.
as a magical Tony Robbins, you know, really like out there.
Motivating you. You can
Yeah,
do it. You can do
yeah.
it. Okay. And does everyone have a unicorn guide?
I believe so. I really believe so. I've never came across anyone who doesn't have a unicorn guide. The only difference is a lot of people are not open to
No.
connecting with their unicorn guide. So
Yeah.
when that's shared in a class or in person, if they're not open to it, they might just like sit there with their arms crossed because they just don't want to, engage, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, I believe that, I mean, the unicorns say, they tell me that everybody does, because we've just really came into the age of Aquarius. We're in
Mm.
this new phase. We're all trying to like navigate these busy times and, live our life, but live our spirituality at the same time. And this is why the unicorns are here, because they bridge both humanity and divinity so, so well.
That's something I want to touch on as well, because I remember in the elemental details we taught about the unicorns as bridging all the elements together. Can you talk a little bit about how the elements form this bridge between the human life and the spiritual life? Because as spiritual people, there's always this self-judgment about not being spiritual enough or having to be a certain way when we are spiritual. How do the unicorns help us have some balance with regards to that?
Oh, it's a great question. I love that. So yeah, we can look at the elements and say, for clarity, for quick clarity's sake, that there's 5 elements. There's earth, air,
Mm-hmm.
fire, water, and
Mm-hmm.
spirit. Spirit is that interweave of all the elements. And so the beings that represent spirit, as we shared in Elemental Detox, are the unicorns, because they bridge all the elements together. And how that looks like in the natural kingdom is the unicorns help to oversee the different realms, the Fey realm, mermaid realm. They are very much connected with all these beings.
Mm-hmm.
And then how that we can relate that to us is, yeah, they're here to help us to live balance. Absolutely. To try and, for so long, spirituality has almost been like a trend,
Yeah,
the new age trend.
being
And
mindful, meditating, exactly,
yeah,
crystals.
yeah. And I think people who are ready to take that to the next level are doing it. And then I think there's a lot of
Mm.
people who are not, but yet they kind of feel like, oh yeah, I still have to be spiritual. I still have to meditate and do all this, you know. But I think those who are ready to ascend and really live their truth, their spiritual truth every day, then without a doubt you will interact with unicorns, whether it's your dream time, whether you're seeing them reflected in your environment. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that they're there, that they're showing themselves to you, because it is time for you to step up and go,
Mm.
okay, I want to live my higher self every day, not just fleeting moments when I'm, at my altar or meditating. I want to live it every day. I want to be my spiritual self and express my truth when I dance, when I sing, when I make love, when I'm cooking. I want to put my love into into my foods that I'm eating. You know, it's just to really live and breathe who we are every day, and really bring our spirituality into our humanity. That's really what they're here to do.
I love that it's such a grounded way of perceiving unicorns, because most people, when they perceive of unicorns, for example, when they, the way unicorns have been portrayed so far in the world have been these fluffy, airy kind of woo-woo kind of beings, but in truth, they're so grounded, and they help us not just be up there in the high realms, but bring that positivity and that energy of the high realms into our everyday life. I love how grounded that is. And in the book, Calista, something that I found very interesting, you share a picture of a unicorn and a unicorn kid, unicorn baby. Tell us more about that.
Oh, and that is the section that, I love that section, because it shares my story with how my kids came forward, how very much they're connected with the unicorns as well, and the Pegasus. But if you have ever perceived a baby unicorn as your guide, don't dismiss that, because a lot of people have unicorn, like baby guides, or teenager or like teen unicorns, and it's just to show you that they're meeting you exactly where you are. Sometimes we have to grow with our guides, and so the unicorns will always reflect where we are. And it's not to say that it's a negative thing to have like a little baby unicorn. It may mean that they're just trying to show you to nurture yourself, and it's time to, like, you know, really come in and just be gentle and just be soft with yourself and allow yourself to grow.
And can the unicorn guides change as we change in our life? Can we have, for example, a unicorn guide for one period of our lives, and then when we transition into a new period, a new unicorn guide comes along?
Yeah, I feel what they're saying to me just now is some people will have a consistent guide throughout their whole life. Others will have other guides coming in, especially if they've had a really big shift in their life, and it's almost as if they're living like another timeline.
A new life.
Then yes, absolutely, that can happen.
Perfect. Now, before I go into the next question, everybody watching right now who has any questions for Calista, feel free to pop them in the comment, because we're going to move on into some quick Q&A in a little bit. But Calista, how do unicorns kind of help us fulfill our light worker purpose?
Oh, there's so many ways. But as ever, I mean, in this book, and true to them, they're very, very practical beings. So, and because we're here with all different purposes, the best way is just to ask them, is to say to them when you first meet them, whether that's in a meditation, or you're listening, for example, one of the audios that I've done, or you're just calling them in your quiet space, then ask them, how can you, and you might even get a name. So for example, Hethgar, how can you support me to live and express my purpose? Just listen. And it's lovely also to say to them, for example, Hethgar, how can I partner you to help your own evolution? Because when we start looking at our spiritual team from not that almost like a utilitarian point of view, where like we're always asking them to to be in service for us, when we just flip it and go, okay, how can I help you? The relationship just blossoms. It's like a physical relationship with a friend. If we're always taking all the time, it's not a very mutual balanced relationship. But if we're saying, what can I do to help you, it becomes so more supportive, so more intimate. And yeah, so I'm a firm believer in
asking, and then listening.
Listening, and then even if nothing comes in that first time where you make that conscious connection, be very aware of what is reflected in your environment. Be aware of the signs and the symbols and the synchronicities that follow after you asking, because honestly, friends, when you ask, all of creation listens. All of creation listens to you. So never think you're not being heard, because you absolutely are. And every time you send a request out to Spirit, it will be answered. Maybe not in that moment, but it will be reflected to you. So it's important just to be really aware of your environment.
And I love what you said about partnering up with the unicorns rather than like asking them for help all the time, because it becomes like a real life relationship, not just something higher than us that we keep asking help from. Now, there's a question here by Brilly Set. She asks, are there any rainbow unicorns or rainbow Pegasians? Do you want to clarify the different, you talked about diamond ray and then rainbow light. Are they the same thing? Are they different? How do they relate to unicorns and Pegasians?
So the diamond ray and the rainbow ray, exactly the same. They're just interchangeable terms. But something I talk about in the book is different types of unicorns, because I think for a long time we just seen unicorns as white, luminous beings, but there's many different types, and there is a collection of beings known as the rainbow unicorns, and their specific role is to help bridge the 3D reality, so aka muggle reality, which is fine. We've got to be muggles sometimes.
I love it.
To 5D, to understanding that we are all part of each other, that we're all one. Yeah. So the rainbow unicorns create this bridge, if you like, this rainbow bridge to take us from 3D to 5D. But they also remind us that we're not just making that transition to 5D and ignoring the physical world. We're not at all. Actually, all dimensions overlap each other. Yeah, they're all occupied in the same space.
Merging it. Yes.
Yeah, merging it. So yes, you get, now the Pegasians, when you ask them to come in, they tend to bring in the rainbow ray, and it's more apparent that you actually see colors of rainbows. You know, that rainbow light starts to come in. It seems to be more when you call in the Pegasians than the unicorns that happens.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you for that. Now, the last question I have for you, Calista, is what is the #1 message that the unicorns have been consistently giving you to give to the world? What do the unicorns want us to know right now in this world?
They want us to know that we are creator incarnate. They have said this in so many interviews throughout the book, mentioned it so many times. We are creator incarnate. And when we're in physical body right now, as you're listening to me, as you're listening to George, you are both creation and creator in one body. That is the message. That's the message that they want us to know.
Powerful. Yeah. So we can both be, so basically, the way I think of it right now, what you just said, we are the creators and also the creation. So in a sense, we are the ones responsible. We are one with the unicorns. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we are.
In a sense.
We absolutely are. But yet, while we're in this physical form, we're individualized source consciousness, where they are collective. They are as one. And sometimes people will see them in a form, and sometimes you won't see them in a form. You'll sense their energy, and that's absolutely fine. They can take a form, but it's very rare that you will see a unicorn with your physical eyes.
Okay.
I've seen physical unicorns, but it's more with my clear cognizance.
Okay.
But anytime you see a very bright white horse, especially if it's there one moment and gone the next, you know that it's a unicorn. You know that it's a unicorn coming in.
I'll be looking out for those.
I've had that experience before, and I asked Hethgar what that meant. When you literally see a white horse, but literally you look again and it goes. And he said that sometimes unicorns can come down to be watchers, just like angels can come down and be watchers. I'm a firm believer that angels sometimes are literally homeless people on the street, and they're literally watching the level of kindness, of where collectively the level of kindness is within humanity. And I feel exactly the same with white unicorns. It's like they're coming into view to get a sense of where, because they bring magic to this world, they're getting a sense of okay, the realms
where we are,
and where we are in relationship to the to the ethereal kingdoms.
I love it. Again, how grounded that is. Now, there is a question that is very heartwarming. And it's by Zana. Zana says, in a reciprocal relationship with your unicorn guide, what is the best way to show thanks and appreciation to them to avoid being one-sided? I love that question, Zana.
Oh, I love it too. I love it too. Now, this is something that's came up before, and the unicorns say the best gift that we can give is to play. Is to play. Honestly, it really is.
And we all need it so much, right?
Yeah, and it gives out. Our hearts carry this resonance, and when we're in our play, we really are just sending love out into the world, and everyone will be blessed by that. So, for example, I know I've got my unicorn watch, and you've got your unicorn headband.
Yes, and
you know, it might seem silly and stuff, but it's just fun, and it's fun. This world needs more fun. It needs more play. And so the best way that you can give back to the unicorns, often they'll say, is just bring more play into your daily life. And don't be scared to be silly. Don't be scared to be seen. Even if you're not a great singer, just sing. If you're a crappy dancer, it doesn't matter. Just shake your bum. It doesn't matter.
Shake it up.
Shake it pretty.
Oh my God, thank you, Calista, so much for sharing these with us. I want you to tell us and tell everybody watching right now, how can they get in touch with you and how can they get this fabulous book?
Oh, I would love to hear from you, beautiful souls, and you can reach me at calistaascension.com. That's my website, and there's links there to get the book, but you can also get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, WH Smith, loads of different places. Because the book only came out yesterday, I had my book launch, and it was really busy.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, it was magical. I still have glitter everywhere. It was great. So much fairy lights, so much, just everybody dressed up, and the newspapers came and took lots of pictures. And
wow.
Everybody wanted their book signed. It was just such a really nice experience. What was I going to say?
And people can see you live as well in London. Is it the 30th of June? End of June, Angel World Summit in Bristol. Is that right?
Yes. If you come to Bristol, I'm going to be attuning people to the unicorns, but also the angels that they work with, the female archangels. So that is going to be a really magical time. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's June 30th in Bristol. And I'm going to be speaking with Kyle Gray, Diana Cooper, and Radley Valentine. So it's going to be, you're going to be there, George.
I'll be there as well to come and support you. I'm so excited to be there. I'm coming all the way from Cyprus.
Amazing.
To celebrate this.
Yay!
And Alison just said, I've just ordered your book. Can't wait for it to arrive. Yay, Alison, another unicorn in the house.
Alison, I was going to say, because yesterday was so busy, I was running this competition where people can win a session with me, a soul session, where I tune into your guides and help your purpose. And I was supposed to pick the winner yesterday, but I was so busy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend that competition to the end of today. So if you've pre-ordered, which you have, please screenshot a receipt and send it to me. You can either do that through Instagram. Just come and find me, Calista Ascension, or email me, and I'll put you into that competition and announce it.
Perfect. Thanks for keeping it open for everybody watching right now as well, right? Can anybody watching right now, if they pre-order it, they can send you the receipt and like a picture? Yeah,
just like a screenshot picture. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Calista. It's been a pleasure talking to you and catching up and sharing the Unicorn Rising magic Be sure everybody watching to follow Calista on Instagram, Calista Ascension, as well as follow me at George Lizos to keep in touch with following interviews coming up in the following month. I have something exciting coming up as well in about 2 weeks' time. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.
Bye.